RWBY Season 6 Episode 1 titled Argus Limited, named after what I believe is the train that they travel along in their journey to get the relic of knowledge safely to Astral as they are coming out of Mistral along the northern coastline of Anima. However, we open with a cold opening with Team RWBY battling against a legion of what looks to be Griffin or Chimera like Grimm besieging the train that they are on. We also see Jean, Nora, and Ren doing their best to help combat against these forces and protect the people on the train, with even Ruby and Weiss having this nice little moment where Ruby saves Weiss and they, both go flying in her semblance in order to, escape, being hit by the tunnel. However, we then cut to Adam, who, in a brutal fashion as always with his character, has slain the various members of the White Fang who pretty much turned against him because of his actions during the battle, you know, and where he basically left behind all of his compatriots. Nobody wants to follow a leader who shows himself to be as sniveling and conniving as Adam constantly does. Which, always gets me, because Adam is such a stark contrast to what I always initially thought he was. I thought he was a planner, I thought he was an idea person and all that. But in the end, he is nothing more than an out of control beast who probably needs to be put down at some point before his body count grows even higher, because it's constantly shown he does not distinguish or care if it is friend or foe, human or faunus. He will slay anyone who stands against him, and that is not what a leader does. We also have had Crow having this ongoing narration to, I think it was someone named Jack, where he is more or less kind of fudging the truth of a lot of things that happened, particularly what happened with Lionheart, saying that he, ended up dying in his attempt to protect the relic and the various huntsmen at his academy. But we all know that's not the truth. Lionheart was a traitor amongst anything else. However, we do have this nice little moment where Ruby has all these little goodies from a gift shop and she's showing them off to all her friends, and they're excited for this train ride, across the coastline and all that good stuff. And Weiss makes it very known that she's not too happy about returning to Atlas, as she had put in so much effort in order to simply escape from Atlas. Lest we forget the fact that she had that harrowing adventure, with those wasps Grimm and being captured by bandits, this and that. So it's kind of like, I'm not too happy about the fact that I have to go back after it took so long just getting here. But Ruby affirms that Team RWBY will be there with her in order to help her along the way. However, two very pompous huntsmen make it known that they will particularly look out for an intrepid group for a fee for a little extra protection, as they are the guardians on this, train-bound adventure through Grimm-invested territory. However, Crow butts in and promptly tells them to more or less go fuck off, because, he is also a licensed huntsman, and he also knows a few safety violations they've had themselves, so obviously they're not really the best and brightest. We also have a nice little moment where Blake is saying goodbye to Ilya And they have a nice little moment where it's just like, I wish you could stay, but all this and that. It's very sweet and shows that Aaliyah is willing to step forward and join up with Blake's dad's new movement in order to have a cooperation between the Faunus and humanity, especially given the previous season where the Faunus really showed that they were willing to look out for the human race. It'll hopefully lead into more more peaceful race relations between the two groups. We also have Sun and, of course, Neptune kind of butting in, bidding farewell to Blake as he feels that it's time to get back to his team and just kind of, proceed with their training in order to have them, become guardians themselves. I also love this little moment where you get a little bit of a harkening back to the original few seasons where, they had their bunk beds and the setup and how, everything was laid out and, you know, Weiss and Ruby on one side and Blake and Yang on the other. It's just a nice little throwback. However, we do have a bit of a moment where, Yang tries to get something and Blake just kind of butts in to try to help out. And Yang kind of calls her out on it, saying it's just like, no, don't do that. I'm fine, we're fine. It'll take some getting used to in being a team again, but we don't have to look after me like that. She's become more capable now more than ever. Now that she's gotten used to her new prosthetic. But it makes sense that Blake still feels a twinge of guilt over everything that happened between her and Yang and Adam. However, we do see the moment where the train comes under siege by the flying Grimm, and despite the best, and I say that very loosely, efforts of the Huntsmen hired by the train company, they prove fruitless, and Team Ruby and Crow have to step in, with one of the Huntsmen even going flying off the side and more than likely dying. The remaining Huntsman sets up the turret defenses upon the train. However, this starts to draw the various Grimm to other parts of the train, as well as other members on, the various passengers in the train. And though Crow tries his best to call out to the other dude and tell him stop the turrets because it's starting to pull the Grimm away from the Huntsmen themselves, he relents. He doesn't relent, saying that it's the only thing actually taking out the Grimm. However, they come upon a tunnel, and the one Huntsman ends up injuring his arm. John heals it, trying to his best to convince the guy to just shut off the turrets. And ultimately, it's decided that Ren, with the help of Jean's semblance, who has the ability to boost other people's semblance, they'll use their abilities in order to mask the rest of the train, while Team Ruby kind of takes the relic, which we come to find out is actually a draw for the Grimm as well. And they will take the relic and basically, distance themselves from the passengers and the train in order to keep the relic safe, keep the Grimm away, keep the people, nice and protected and all that good stuff. Although, once everyone finds out from Ozpin that the relic is in fact a draw for Grimm, they're a little bit annoyed at the fact that Oz hadn't really been forthcoming with that information, which, it keeps digging Oz a deeper hole in the fact that he isn't really telling everyone the truth about various things. However, Ruby butts in and says, that's irrelevant. Our best bet here is to do our best to protect and save innocent lives. And so Jean, notes and punctuates the fact that they will meet again. They will meet all in Atlas in one piece, just at different times. And we also see this glimpse of all the passengers fleeing to the front end of the train with this old looking woman who's just kind of eyeballing Team Ruby, or whatever she has on her face. Looks like Roz from The Last Jedi and the current Star Wars trilogy. And as Blake decouples the back end of the train from the front end, she sees a slight vision of Adam, very similar to her introduction trailer, but a little bit different with Adam wearing different clothes and stuff like that. So is that just her having a flashback to the past, or is this a glimpse into the future? We'll just have to wait and see. However, we pick back up with our team coming under the continued attack of the Grimm, who are relentless in their forces, and Jean and what should we call it? Jean and Ren, proceed to go on with the plan in order to mask the various people from the Grimm attack, and Team Ruby and Crow managed to do this nice little combination where Yang and Blake bind the lead Grimm down. Weiss blasts off its wings, and Crow and Ruby come in with their scythes, cutting the beast in half. However, with its dying breath, it sends out a fireball that blasts the tracks, derailing the train, although everyone is saved from going flying off into different and more dangerous directions with Weiss's ability. And as the train goes down and everyone recovers, sounding off to who is, in good condition, who's okay and all that good stuff, the old lady from before sounds off that she's okay as well. So showing that not just Team Ruby, Ozpin, Oscar, and Crow will be on the long walk to Atlas, but this older woman as well. And what her connection to the rest of the team will be, we'll just have to wait and see. Although I love her motif with all the skulls and stuff like that. It makes me wonder exactly who she could possibly be. A new mentor maybe for Team Ruby? Just have to wait and find out. Also, in regards to the new opening that were shown at the end of the episode, at first when I saw the original preview of it when Rooster Teeth released it early, I wasn't quite sure about it. I wasn't sure if I liked it or not, but upon a second viewing, it's growing on me. The openings haven't felt as strong as they have been in the earlier seasons, but it's still very nice. I'm dedicated to RWBY and all that goes on with it. Rest in peace, Monty Oum. A big inspiration for me and a lot of things that I did in my life and a lot of things I hope to do in my life. And I'm always happy to see where the rest of the team continues to take this series going forward, because it still stands as one of the most prevalent privately owned series out there, very creator driven, and no BS from studios wanting more from them or specific mandates. They're just kind of doing their own thing, which is always a plus in my book. But hey, tell me your thoughts on this episode in the comment section below. What do you think about the opening? What do you think about the new premise we have going on? And what do you think about these newer figures we're seeing in both the opening and this old lady here as well? And if you liked my review, feel free to leave me a like. If you didn't, leave me a dislike and tell me what I'm doing wrong. And subscribe for more episodes of RWBY. Thanks for joining me.